Well, hello from Route 8 in the southern island of New Zealand. It is a beautiful summer morning. Today is I think the 11th of February. That's right, today is the 11th of February. And I am driving from Dunedin to Queenstown to catch a flight at 2:30 to go to Auckland. And yesterday I was in Dunedin, and somebody on YouTube sent me a message. Jamie's was his. I think it's a gentleman. Sent me a message asking me if I might consider doing a video telling a little bit about myself and how I came to be doing what it is that I'm doing. And he was telling me that he had wanted to do something similar as far as traveling the world, and he was just curious to know how I did it. So I thought, what a great opportunity it would be to take the time during this drive. I have a tripod set up in the passenger seat of the vehicle here, and it's relatively safe. So relatively it is safe, as long as I keep my eye on the road and not over here. But anyway, so I thought I'd take some time today and just tell the story, as I have often done so over the years, is how it is that I find myself in the position that I am as far as traveling the world. And to start the story, I'd probably go back to when I was in high school, back in Euclid, Ohio. And I remember more times than not, when I'd be sitting in high school, I'd be staring out the window, just thinking about all the places in the world that I'd want to see. And I thought it'd be a shame with such a big world out there, and just given one life, not to see as much of the world as possible. And so that kind of set the gears in motion as far as, having the desire to travel, because that's going to be one of the first and foremost things that one would need to be able to find themselves in a position that I am here today. So anyway, when I was all of 17, I was the black sheep of a family of 10 children, and I was thrown out of the house at 17 years old. I was told I had 3 weeks to get out of the house, and if I didn't get out of the house, I'd come home and find all of my bags packed on the front steps. So anyway, I found my way out of the house, and actually finished my senior year in high school. I turned 18 that September. I was thrown out of the house in I think late August or something. But anyway, so I had to finish my senior year of high school, living on my own, so to speak. I was renting a room. And so what transpired was I joined the military, and I joined the military. I was a medical specialist. 91 Bravo would be the MOS, military occupational skill. 91 Bravo, I joined the military, and I was given the choice of duty assignment, and that was back in 1981. And I had always dreamed of going to California. I think every young man growing up in Euclid, Ohio, had dreamed of going to California. It was the place on all the movies and everything like that. So I joined the military, and I was in the military for 3 years, from 1982 to 1985, and I was stationed, believe it or not, in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and that was the Monterey Peninsula. And I spent 3 years in Monterey in the military, and I got out of the military, and I came up to a town called Santa Rosa, which is where I've called home for the better part of the last 30 years now. So I was pretty much living hand to mouth after the military up in Santa Rosa, and I guess there's an expression, I didn't have a pot to piss in. so to speak. And so I kind of wandered from job to job throughout most of my 20s. And it was in my late 20s that I had a minor car accident. And that car accident gave me a little bit of a settlement, you know, let's call it pain and suffering. And so anyway, I got a little bit of a settlement from that car accident. And with that settlement, what I did was I bought a computer. And one of the things about that computer that just really, really appealed to me, that was right at the dawn of the internet. I think going back then, I must have been, that's about 20 years ago. I think it was about 19, maybe it wasn't that far back, but 1997, 96, 97, something like that. But, so anyway, I bought a computer, and what really appealed to me about that computer was its ability to connect me to the rest of the world. And, you know, that was back in the day of AOL being the primary, you know, online venue for communication, way before Google and all that stuff. So anyway, I started surfing the internet and AOL, you know, you've got mail, and the instant messaging and all that stuff. And I was just hooked. I was really hooked. Anyway, about that same time, I got a job at Wells Fargo Bank. And I was working at Wells Fargo Bank pretty much as a glorified salesperson. I would stand in a supermarket all day selling checking accounts. I stood next to an ATM machine and I'd focus on the ATM card being stuck in the machine, and if it wasn't Wells Fargo, I'd try to hit the person up for different products and services offered by Wells Fargo Bank. Anyway, that job gave me an opportunity to take my first real holiday in life, and I bought a ticket to go down to Cancun, Mexico. And it was that one trip that really changed my life. I went down to Cancun, Mexico, and I fell in love with a Kentish maid, a girl from Kent, England. And she had wanted me to come and visit her over in England. And on that same trip, I met a Dutch farmer and his wife. And his name is Auke van Dyke, and his wife is Teatskeana, I believe, is the Dutch name. But anyway, so Auke and I played some chess, and he invited me to, you know, I beat him in chess, which was much to his surprise because he's a pretty good player. So Auke invited me to go to Holland, and he said if I ever make it to his farm in Friesland, which is the northern part of Holland, he would take me sailing. Well, in combination with the Kentish maid inviting me to come over to England, my mind was set, and I was going to go to Europe. So I went to Europe, and I wanted to, I thought it would be really cool going to Europe to be able to share my travels, you know, kind of upload pictures and stuff. And I went to Europe on a 3-week trip, and it was quite a trip. I mean, I landed in Amsterdam, and then drove all the way down to Rome. I actually, on the way, I picked up a passenger that I had met on AOL, Sabina, in Zurich, Switzerland. And anyway, that was the trip that kind of set the traveling in motion. Excuse me for the chewing gum. But anyway, that was the trip that set it all in motion. And I came back, and I was hooked on the thought of going to Europe. And I found myself in a position where I really didn't have the money to travel, you know, to travel Europe. And also I found myself with the desire to want to share my travels with people as I did travel Europe. And a light went on over my head. and that was that I would teach myself web design, and I would create a website and call it europewithasmile.com. I think it's still online. So anyway, I created this website, and I had this idea, and to basically contact bed and breakfast and hotels across Europe and see if they'd let me stay for one night for free in exchange for being on my website, Europe with a Smile. It's amazing what a smile will get you in life. You know, my dad taught me that. But anyway, so I built this website, Europe with a Smile, and I went out and I bought this book called The Greatest Places to Stay in Europe. And incredible book. I mean, this book had all the best places in Europe: castles, hotels, a little boutique bed and breakfast on, top of mountains and all that good stuff. So I sent out an email to all these hotels, and I asked them if they'd, host me for a night. And this is before, the internet was still relatively new, and the idea of blogging, there was no such word as blogging back then. So the timing was perfect, and the response was overwhelming. Dear Mr. Hall, we'd love to have you as our guest. The very first email that I got was from, his name was Maximilian Eidelhuber, or as I affectionately came to call him, Max. Max was the manager of a hotel called Landhaus zu Appsbach, Appesbach, and it's in St. Wolfgang, Austria, just outside of Salzburg in the beautiful lake region of Austria. So anyway, that set everything in motion. I mean, it was just incredible from there. So I had the very first trip I took to Europe, I planned it in about 3 weeks, and I think in 21 days my head didn't hit the same bed twice. And I would, I landed like in, I don't know, it might have been Amsterdam or something, and then I'd drive 8 hours and I'd stay in the next hotel, and then I'd drive 6 hours and stay in the next hotel. And it was all well and good, but it was just very, very tiring, and I didn't really get to see very much. So the next year, when I got like 5 weeks a year from Wells Fargo Bank. So the next year, I took the same database of hotels, and as hotels would confirm that they would host me for an evening, I'd put a little red flag in a map of Europe up on my wall in basically the room that I was renting at the time. Still didn't have much of a pot to piss in at that point in time. So this time I would just let the acceptances pile up on the map, if you will, and then after 2 or 3 weeks of communicating with all these hotels, I would look at the map and see where I had the most flags, if you will, and then I would start to confirm dates. I would see 5 flags in London, so I would confirm a room for the 5th, 6th, and 7th of June or whatever in London. So that all started going really well. And I was still working at Wells Fargo Bank. I worked for Wells Fargo Bank for about 7 years. And all throughout that time, I was teaching myself web design. And I was teaching myself web design more so because I saw it as an opportunity to make some extra income. And, growing up in a family of 10 back east, our parents did the best they could to take care of us. But if we wanted anything above and beyond, the basics like food, shelter, and clothing, we had to figure out a way to get it ourselves. So that kind of planted the seed insofar as, my ability to think outside the box. So anyway, what happened was I started learning web design, and I started to build up this website, Europe with a Smile. And it wasn't much of a website, mind you, but it was kind of an interesting idea for a lot of the people over in Europe. The hotel owners, I should say. So as I started to travel Europe, I did that every summer for about 3 or 4 years. I actually started to develop a little reputation. There was a little circle of hotel groups like Relais Chateau or romantic hotels and stuff like that. And I was doing these 360 digital panoramas and all that kind of stuff, and some photography. So I developed a little bit of a name for myself within a lot of these very high-end hotels. And I stayed in some beautiful places. I stayed in, there was a place called Burg Bernstein, which was a castle in Austria, just south of Vienna. I stayed in a palace. In Vienna, Palace Schwarzenberg. Stayed in Birmingham in the same room that Bill and Hillary Clinton slept in. And anyway, so about this time, I started getting hooked on more and more on the idea of web design. And I started to take courses at the local community college for web design. And I was still working at the bank, Wells Fargo. So what happened with that all was that I realized that to be successful in web design, I'd have to learn a discipline of web design called SEO, search engine optimization. And ever since I was a little kid, I used to always like to know how things worked, We couldn't watch TV on school nights growing up in Cleveland, so I'd usually find myself down in the basement and taking apart radios or something like that, taking apart radios or TVs and just kind of seeing how they work and seeing if I could put them back together, but and still have them work. But anyway, so I started to learn SEO and web design, and I got actually pretty good at it, and what I wanted to do was to leave the little glorified sales position I had next to the ATM machine. I was called a banking center manager. I wanted to leave that little glorified position of being a banking center manager, and I wanted to get into the web area, internet area of Wells Fargo. Well, I couldn't because I didn't have a college degree. Anyway, as time passed, I became better and better at web design, and I was making about $35,000 a year at web design. And I was making about $35,000 a year at that time at Wells Fargo. So what I decided to do was, I think it was 2001, not too far after 9/11, I quit Wells Fargo. And pretty bold, quitting Wells Fargo, job with benefits and all that type of stuff. I had gotten my 2-year degree at the Santa Rosa Junior College. It took me 5 years to get a 2-year degree. And got my 2-year degree, associates in AA, and I also got a B, AAAS, something like that. I got 2 of them. So at that point in time, I planned a trip to Europe, because now I didn't have, the limitation of a 5-week vacation. I could do a 3-month vacation. So that was in 2003. Well, 2001 I quit the bank, but 2003 I planned the long trip over to Europe. And that was the trip that really changed my life in many ways. I was in... I landed in Scotland, and I spent a few weeks in Scotland. Then I was going over to Budapest, and I wanted to spend a month in Budapest because I've got a very strong affinity for Hungary. That's another story in and by itself. So anyway, I rented a room in Budapest for a month in June of 2003. The second day I was there, June 17th, I got on a train and went to a small town called Kecskemét. And on the way back to Budapest, I fell in love with a lovely girl named Nora Missbrenner. And the rest, as they say, was history. I just fell in love with Nori and came back to the States, sold everything, and I stayed the summer with her. I canceled the rest of my trip across Europe, and I stayed the summer with her on the Karut. We were right by Kirai Utsa or something like that. But anyway, so went back to California, sold everything I owned, and I moved to Budapest. And while I was in Budapest, I thought I need to make use of my time, just like I'm making use of my time on this drive up to Queenstown. I'm going through the town of Lawrence right now on Highway 8. And anyway, so I went back to Budapest, and I was going to school at the University of Phoenix, which was, personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but anyway, so I was going to the University of Phoenix, getting a degree in a BA in business administration. And the reason I was going to school, the reason I was so diligent, intent on going to the university, was because I had learned my lesson with Wells Fargo Bank that if you want to advance in the corporate world, like it or not, you got to have a college degree. And so I knew that if I wanted to get married and have a family, etc., that I'd have to be able to provide for them, and the best way to provide for them was to have a respectable job, be able to make a respectable living. So while I was living in Budapest for those 3 years, incredible opportunity. I mean, how many people do you know that can say that they just picked up their life and just moved to, a place such as Budapest? I don't know if the word is exotic, but distant from where I was living. That's for sure. So anyway, I moved over to Budapest. Had 3 of the better years of my life there, and I started learning web design. I knew web design at the time, but started really honing in on my skills. And just to step back for a moment, probably around 2001, or while I was still working for the bank, I met this guy. His name is Jim DeMollin, Dumollin. Jim DeMollin, I think is his name. And he markets himself by the name The Wealthy Dentist. And he is a guy that hired me to do 3 websites for him, 3 template websites. And I did these 3 template websites, and they were for dentists. He markets to dentists. He does high-end dentistry marketing. So he had me do these 3 websites for him that were all the same in structure, the same navigation, same everything. And then he had me do 5 color schemes of each. When I was done, he took those 3 websites with a total of 15 different color schemes. He hired 6 telemarketers, and he would sell these websites. He didn't sell the websites. The websites were leased by these dentists. They would pay him a monthly fee, and he would charge them a setup fee. And the setup fee was $1,500. Well, he had 2,500 dentists sign up over the course of 2 years at $1,500, and it came to a $3.7 million that he made off of those 3 websites that I had done for him. And then on top of that, he was charging each of these 1,500 dentists $150 a month. So he was making like $300,000 a month. And I thought, my God, work smarter, not harder. Work smarter, not harder. And a light went on my head. And I took that idea, and I transitioned it into or modified it, maybe is a better word, for the dental industry, or not the dental industry, the auto repair industry. So I took those 3 templates, and I approached this organization called ATRA, A-T-R-A, Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association. And I approached them and asked them if they would be interested in doing a template, offering a template to their members. So they accepted and hired me as an independent contractor. And over the course of 3 years, I set up the better part of 300 websites for these auto repair shops that were members, transmission repair specialty shops that were members of this organization called ATRA. And that is when a gentleman, I got a phone call that changed my life. It was a phone call from a gentleman named Peter Fink, F-I-N-K, Peter Fink, from Omaha, Nebraska. And if there's any one individual that's had a positive influence at that on my life over the course of my years, it'd be Mr. Peter Fink out of Omaha, Nebraska. What an incredible self-made man that guy is. He owns a factory and 13 retail stores, and they remanufacture automotive transmissions. So he hired me to do some websites outside of ATRA, and set him up with his retail stores, shops, if you will, kind of like an AMCO. Anyway, so he hired me to set up these websites for his 13 retail stores. And about that same time, I quit ATRA. And I quit ATRA and I went out on my own. I just canceled my contract with ATRA because they didn't, I wanted to renegotiate my contract because of my concerns on my intellectual property rights. And I wanted to have them give me a $10 per website licensing fee per month. And with 2,500 members, that would have been a nice monthly income for me. But they turned me down, and Peter gave me permission to take the website he had just paid me to do and offer that to auto repair shops. So I did, and that was back in 2008. Things didn't work out in Budapest with Nori. She wanted to stay in. She actually wanted to stay in Hungary. Didn't want to move to America, which was what our original plan was to do. And her and I are still in contact to this day. No hard feelings at all or anything. But anyway, so for the last 5 years, I have been setting up a template website for auto repair shops, and they pay me a setup fee of $1,500, roughly $1,500, and they pay me a monthly fee. And you can think of it pretty much as software that they use. So they lease the website from me, and every January I send out invoices, and those invoices get sent out, and what used to be a good portion of my income would come in every January. And I say used to because my income has far surpassed what it was over the last few years. So anyway, about several months ago, I was approached again by Peter Fink, and he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse, and that was to work for Certified and set up websites for his distributors across the country. So if you were to go to certifiedtransmission.com, for example, and look at their locations, you'll see where I'm starting to populate that website and make it a website or a directory to facilitate selling his product, which is remanufactured transmissions. So in addition to doing those websites, I also do websites for other clients, such as I have restaurants, bed and breakfast, real estate agents, appliance repair, all of that stuff. And it was just that's pretty much what has gotten me to where I'm at today, as far as halfway between Dunedin and Queenstown on my way back to Auckland. And it's it's a dream come true. I've had ever since I was young, going back to my childhood, I had the dream, or the dream to travel the world at will. And for the most part, that's what I'm doing. I'm traveling the world at will. I do have some limitations. I've got to have internet, of course. You know, reliable internet. Got to have, you know, a comfortable place to sleep, all that good stuff. But I'm living my dream. I'm traveling the world at will. You know, I'm going up to Queenstown and getting on a plane and flying to Auckland, but I could just as easily fly to Melbourne or Shanghai or Cape Town, South Africa. You know, any of these places. I'm actually going up a hill right now, and my camera just came over. But anyway, so I'm going up a grade, and I've got to reposition my camera. But don't try this at home, as the saying goes. You know, don't try this at home. So you know, as I was saying, I'm essentially living a dream. And let me see if I can't get this camera back to where it should be. Anyway, so I should actually pull over here and position this camera. But you know, some of the thoughts that I was having, you know, in preparation of doing this video, you know, I'd like to say that just about anybody can do, you know, what I'm doing. You know, it's I think some of the things that you really need, you have to have the, you know, there's a saying, anything the human mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, and that's by Napoleon Hill. And I believe that, but I also realize that there are some, you know, limitations and obstacles in life that face different people and prevent them from achieving the same type of accomplishments that I've done over the years. But the other thing is that you know, it's also been, for me, it's been timing. You know, it's been a lot of it was timing. When I did the Europe with a Smile website, you know, there was no such thing as blogging back then, and so it was that was perfect timing, if you will. And then the other thing is just you know, the grace of God. I mean, it's the smarts that the good Lord blessed me with. You know, I mean, I couldn't have done what I'm doing if it weren't, you know, for the smarts that I got to adjust my camera here. Anyway, so I couldn't be doing what it is that I'm doing were it not for the grace of God, and I'm just very, very, very blessed in that regard. But I hope that answers the question as far as how I'm able to do what I do, and I'm sure that there's people out there that have been interested. And you know what? I am not. There are plenty of people out there that do similar things to what I do. They may not share as much of their life online as I do, but you know, traveling as I have over the course of the last dozen years or so, you know, I'm not alone in doing what I do. There's a lot of people that do this, and you know, as with anything in life, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So right now, I need to focus on getting myself up to Queenstown. It is about 20 minutes to 9, and I have a flight that takes off at about 2:30. So I need to really focus on focus on the road. I was going through a rather bit of a windy area there when the camera came back on itself, and I was doing the best I could to focus on the road and doing this little video. You know, the other thing that I should say in closing out this video is the fact that I realize, you know, over the course of my lifetime, see if I can adjust that a little bit. There we go. So over the course of my lifetime, I've come to, and this is more so with men than with women, but I've seen a lot of, I've known a lot of men as they've aged. You know, they have this propensity to want to document their life or write a book. You know, everybody thinks their life is, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people think their life is exceptional, and they've got a story that needs to be told. And oh, here's a red light that I just came across. Give me a chance to adjust this camera. So anyway, everybody, whoops. Okay. I'm adjusting the camera, so excuse me. I'm at a red light going over a bridge. So that, there you go. Okay, so now I can put it back in first gear, and wish I could share the scenery with you as I'm driving through here. It is rather beautiful to drive from Dunedin to Queenstown. But getting back to my thought, I've seen a lot of men that have had this desire to share their story of their life, and maybe it's because they don't want to be forgotten or something like that, you know. So they want to write a book. And for me, doing these videos, and if you go to Europe with a Smile, you'll see a lot of stories that I used to write. Doing these videos is it's just a way for me to efficiently and interestingly document my life. And if people find it interesting and enjoy my videos, you know, that's wonderful, you know. But if they don't, you know, I don't care if, as I've said several times when I do these videos, you know, if one person watches my videos, great. If 1 million people watch my video, that's great. You know, I really don't care how many people watch my videos. And the other thing that I'm learning is, you know, one of the biggest things that people fear in life is the fear of criticism. You know, what are other people going to think about me? And I threw that out the window, I think somewhere way back in life. I can't remember what road I was on when I threw the fear of criticism out the window. So I don't care what people think about me, and I don't care what people think. Well, I shouldn't say that I don't care, because I do care what people think, but I'm not that self-conscious that I can't you know, have fun in life and enjoy life, and in the process share some of my wonderful experiences. So anyway, Jay Mees, I hope that answers your question. And you know, just find something that you love to do, and how's the saying go? The day you find a job doing what you love is the last day you'll ever work, and you know, for the rest of your life. And so that's what I've done. If you want to travel the world, find something that you can do being self-employed. You got to be self-employed. I cannot. When I left Wells Fargo Bank, you know, that was the last time I ever worked for the man, so to speak. And you know, having somebody tell me when I can go on vacation, when I've got to be at work, when I can, you know, when I can go home, and you know, whether or not I can call in sick, or, you know, that's for the birds. You know, I can't ever imagine finding myself in a position where I'd be working for the man again. So with all that in mind, I'm going to focus myself on the road and wish you a great day in the process. So take good care. Okay, bye bye.